Precious. Good morning, friends. We have another setup for today, a different setup. Moved my monitor from here to there just to make it more comfortable, and because I want to see my dog when he comes in, and there's a door over there. So yeah, and today we are going to do a code with me. Hi, Papa. Wanna come in? Okay. Good morning, friends. Today we are sitting on the floor again. It is a setup that I have been enjoying for the past 2 days, and this is our third day now, and I like it. I can do a lot of different sitting positions like this, or straighten my legs, or do some like this, or move forward, something like this. That's pretty good for my back. I can do different sitting positions at times that I need it. So it's really important for my chronic back pain. So yeah, and now we just started to turn on our computer, read some emails, and yeah. I just wish this keyboard stand is a little bit longer so I can put my mouse, but this will do for now. I'll try to look for something that will be able to hold my mouse, both my mouse and my keyboard. Breakfast. We have our bagel and iced coffee. Alright, friends, let's have one encounter here. Let's go to the assessment. Okay, in the assessment, the diagnoses are diarrhea and costochondritis. So let's have diarrhea, that is R19.7. And we have also costochondritis. M94.0. Let's see, what is a costochondritis? An inflammation of the cartilage connecting the ribs to the breastbone, causing chest pain. Okay, so diarrhea is not related to the costochondritis. So we can code both. Let's go back to the chart. If there is other conditions, or if there are other conditions here that we can capture. No abdominal pain, no chest pain, Wow. Lucky, so sleepy. Okay, we only have two conditions, the costochondritis and diarrhea. This is a small chart. Let's continue. This is the last chart, the last encounter of this chart. Same patient, same chart, different date of service. Okay, so the patient has dysuria. Dysuria is R30.0. That's in the assessment. Let's see if we have other conditions here. So the patient presented with dysuria and presented with urinary frequency. So when you have dysuria, of course, you have urinary frequency. And there is a possibility of UTI, but then since it's just uncertain, it is not confirmed yet that it is a UTI, we can only code the dysuria. Let's make sure that dysuria symptoms are like urinary frequency. Yeah, frequent and urination, that is a symptom of dysuria. So we only have to code one, and that is dysuria. Urinary frequency will not be coded. A possibility of UTI will not be coded as well. Yep, that's it. We only have one condition here. Okay, we have another small chart. Let's code it. Okay, so this is an encounter for pregnancy test, and the result was positive. So we go encounter pregnancy test, result positive. The code for that is Z32.01. Let's see what are the other conditions here. No medical history, no social history. There is hypothyroidism in the past medical history, so we can code that. But we do not have support, so we can still capture and then place it as no support. That's it. And we code Z3A00. Okay, and we have two codes here. The encounter for pregnancy test result positive, the Z3201, and the hypothyroidism without support, EO3.9. And then there's another encounter here. This is a small chart, so we will just continue coding this whole chart. And this encounter, so this is the same patient but a different date of service. Okay, so the assessment is the patient is here to confirm pregnancy again, and the pregnancy test is positive. So we do Z3201, and then the patient is actually 6 weeks pregnant, so Z3A.01, so less than 8 weeks of gestation. And then she takes levothyroxine for hypothyroidism. Any conditions during pregnancy that are current is actually reported as a complication of pregnancy, because this is hypothyroidism is part of an endocrine system. So we go pregnancy complicated by endocrine diseases. And since this is less than 6 weeks of gestation age, that is first trimester, so the code for that is 099.281. And then we put EO 3.9. And because the patient is taking levothyroxine, and that is a long-term use, so levothyroxine is actually a hormone replacement therapy. So that is, the code for that is Z79890. Let's continue. So we capture 5 conditions here. The encounter for pregnancy test result positive, and then the patient is 8 weeks pregnant. The patient has complication of pregnancy, which is the hypothyroidism, and then the long-term use of levothyroxine. Friends, we have another chart. The patient has iron deficiency anemia secondary to blood loss and an excessive and frequent menstruation with irregular cycle. So for the iron deficiency anemia secondary to blood loss, that is D50.0. And then the excessive and frequent menstruation with irregular cycle, that is N92.1. Continue. So the patient's, in the assessment, it says that the patient is here for heavy and excessive periods. So let's do menstruation. A heavy menstruation and also irregular. So it's the same as the previous one. The code for that is the regular cycle, that is N92.1. So the patient is not pregnant, it's just having a heavy menstruation and irregular cycle, with irregular cycle. Okay, we only have one code, and let's move on to another encounter of this chart. I love this kind of chart. I love this format. It's very clear, very efficient, very coder friendly. Okay, let's go to the assessment. So the patient is here for a follow-up exam after the treatment of a condition other than malignant neoplasm. And also the patient is here for the patient is here for otitis media. I don't know how to read that, but we can code that. Oh, acute suppurative otitis media. Okay, let's see. Oh, the patient is here for a follow-up of ear infection. She completed a 10-day course of oral antibiotic. There's no more fever. So actually the otitis media is completely cured or gone. It's gone. There's no more. It's completely resolved. So we only have to code one, which is Z09, which is the patient is here for a follow-up exam after the treatment. So since this is a follow-up exam, we have to make sure that it is completely resolved. That's the difference between going to the doctor for a follow-up or for an aftercare. If it is a follow-up exam, then it means that the condition is completely resolved. If it is an aftercare, then there is still ongoing treatment there is still an ongoing treatment of that condition. But because in the assessment it says that the otitis media was completely resolved, then we only have to code the Z09, and we are going to put a history code. So history, personal, disease, year, and that is Z8669, personal history of other diseases of the nervous system and sense organs. So we are going to code Z8669. So there are two codes for here, the follow-up encounter and the history of the condition. Okay, friends, let's have one encounter. Okay, the patient has opioid dependence, and that is F1120. And then let's continue reading. The patient has a BMI of 36. We can call that BMI if we have supported clinically significant conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, depression, COPD, and such. So, let's see, what are the conditions here? So the patient, in the past medical history, the patient has GERD, ADHD, and hyperlipidemia. If we have a support for hyperlipidemia, we can code the BMI. So GERD is K21.9. Do we have a support for GERD? No, we do not have. The patient has ADHD, that is F90.9. Do we have a support for it? Let's see if this medication can support it. No, there's no support for hyperlipidemia as well. So the BMI will not be reported, but we can report these chronic conditions that are in the past medical history. Even though they do not have support, we'll just place them to no support conditions. We have a GERD, hyperlipidemia, and ADHD. Do we have social history? And the patient is actually a current smoker, that is F17200, nicotine dependence. Do we have surgical history? That's it. Okay, friends, we're doing another chart here. So this is an encounter for immunization for a child. I believe it is a child. Let me check. No, it is not a child. So the patient came here for immunization. And let's see if there is the immunization was given, then we can call the immunization. Yes, there was immunization, so we can code Z23. The patient also has a condition of E11.9, diabetes. And the patient is taking metformin, so that is long-term use of oral hypoglycemic drugs, Z7984. What else? The patient has a BMI of 36, so we can code that, Z6836. we can code that because we have diabetes. What else? Okay, here are the different conditions. So here we have also other conditions in the past medical history, such as high cholesterol, hypertension, CAD, I-25.10, old MI, I-25.2. The patient also has cirrhosis, K74.60, and the patient has schizophrenia, F20.9. What else? Yeah, those are the conditions in the past medical history. Let's see if the patient is smoking. The patient is a former smoker. Okay, we can call that if our hypertension is supported. Yes, our hypertension is supported, so we can code Z87891 for former smoker. Okay, we have high cholesterol. Do we have a medication for it? Yes, we do. Same as the CAD. We have schizophrenia. Let's see if this one will be a medication for haloperidol. The patient also has a cirrhosis. Yes, we have a medication for schizophrenia, but there is no medication for the cirrhosis. So let me try this one. If this is boring. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. We don't have a medication for cirrhosis, but we can report that. All right. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 conditions that we can report. All right, friends, let's do another chart. Okay. Let's just make sure that the date of birth and the patient's name matched. And they do. Okay, let's start. So in the assessment, the patient is opioid dependent, that is F1120, and also meth dependent, that is F1520, and also a dependence in benzo but in remission, that is F1321. So there is a PTSD. Let's see if this PTSD is actually non-chronic. So if we can find a support for that, we can code that. Nope. We're sure. Let's go down. No. Yep, there's nothing else. So I guess we only have 3 conditions: the opioid dependence, the stimulants dependence, and the benzo dependence in remission.